Of course, as always, we dedicate our learning in the schus of our precious hostages. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, bring them home b'shalom and b'karv in the merit of our holy soldiers. May they be successful b'chol ma'aseh yedehem, and of course in the schus of our holy brothers and sisters in Eretz Yisrael, who, despite the statements and announcements of ceasefires, we're following in the news the two series of rocket attacks on Be'er Sheva that killed three of the people who were killed, Kiddush Hashem, were members of the same family. So four people killed, over 22 injured in two quick barrages in Be'er Sheva. Again, after this supposed ceasefire, Halavai Kadosh Baruch Hu Shemeretz Hashem, bring Klal Yisrael decisive and quick victory, and Emeretz Hashem, Eretz Yisrael and Am Yisrael should be blessed with the ultimate bracha of Shalom, Emeretz Hashem Bekarov. Well, see, with that, let us begin. So today's daf is daf Vav. We are picking up Emeretz Hashem on Hamid Beis 5b, and we have a lot to do today, Baruch Hashem, but we'll be great. We are picking up 2, 4, 6, 8 lines down from the top on 5b. So we'll say this is a truly beautiful and heartwarming and remarkable Gemara on so many different levels. That's why, again, I could have like gotten it in under the wire yesterday, but this Gemara deserves attention like fine wine. Someone gives you a bottle of fine wine, you don't say, "Oh, thank you so much, I'm so thirsty," and just gulp it down, right? You got to savor it. Gemara, that's fine wine. Alachas kama v'kama we have to do with Gemara. So, Rabbi Yochanan b'Shra Binai, my dichsiv. What's the meaning of the following pasuk? Ashreichem zore al komayim mishalchei regal hashar v'hachamar. So we'll say the Gemara over here quotes the pasuk from Yeshaya. So literally translated, right? Praiseworthy are you who seed or who sow, right? Like sowing a field. Who sow who sow upon water, who send forth the foot of the shar, the ox, and the chamar, and the donkey. Okay, what does this mean? So listen to how beautiful this is. Ashreim Yisrael, praiseworthy are you, Klal Yisrael. That statement is true in and of itself. Praiseworthy is Klal Yisrael. Bizman she'oskin b'Torah ugmilas chasadim. When we engage, right, in the double occupation, right, when we engage in both Torah and Gemilas Chasadim. So I'll say this is very reminiscent about what we spoke about on Shabbos as well. When we go ahead and we engage in the learning of Torah, and by the way, learning of Torah doesn't just mean the learning of Torah, it means the living of Torah. When we engage in Torah and Chesed both, because what does Torah and Chesed represent? It represents, again, obviously, acquiring knowledge, but at the same time putting that knowledge into practice, doing something with that Torah to make a difference in this world. So when Klal Yisrael is involved in Torah and Gemilas Chasadim, listen to this: Yitzram Masra Biyadam. You have control over Yetzer Hara. Isn't that incredible? You want to know the recipe for controlling Yetzer Hara? You want to know the recipe ultimately, again, for maintaining personalistic control? It's this synergistic partnership between a lifestyle of Torah and Chesed. And we are not handed over into the hands of our Yetzer Hara. Shenemar, Ashreichem Zori al Komayim. Listen to this. Praiseworthy are you, Klal Yisrael, who sow or who plant on all waters. Ve'in Zriya. What's Zriya? Elet Tzedakah. That refers to tzedakah, to Gemilas Chasadim, to Chesed. Shenemar ziru lachem tzedakah v'kosher lefi Chesed. Ve'in mayim el Torah. Water's Torah. Shenemar whoever is thirsty, go to water. Ultimately, again, an idea of restoring oneself with the beautiful translucent waters of Torah. So again, it's just see how beautiful this is. So again, Ashreichem Zore al Kol Mayim. So praiseworthy are you, Klal Yisrael, Zore, who engage in acts of chesed, because it's interesting, by the way, how chesed is called planting. Because what happens with chesed, so we know this, what happens with chesed? When you engage in Gemilas Chasadim, you're planting tremendous seeds of achdos. Those seeds germinate, and then those seeds blossom into something beautiful. Maybe you see the results now, maybe you don't. But one thing is absolutely clear. With chesed, you will always see results. You'll always see results. Maybe now, maybe later. So praiseworthy you, Klal Yisrael, Zorei, who are planters of the seeds of chesed, al kol mayim. And when you plant those seeds of chesed on a framework of water, of Torah. So if you're a person who engages in Gemilas Chasadim, you're a person who learns Torah, who lives a life of Torah, That is the perfect combination. And what's the result? Here we go. What's the result? Mishal, the Gemara says, so ultimately, again, this means what does it mean? Sends forth the foot of the ox and the donkey. First of all, I'll say just before we go on, right? Before we go on, so the drush the Gemara is making over here is ashreichem, praiseworthy. Why are you praiseworthy? If you go ahead and zore al kamayim, if you have chesed and Torah, the ashreichem is because the Gemara is suggesting you have control over Yetzer Hara. I will say, is this not the thing we struggle with most in life? How do I control my Yetzer Hara? Right, not a day goes by that some way, somehow, I am not derailed by these internal self-sabotaging mechanisms which exist inside of me. I want to be in control, right? Some of us are control freaks. I want to be in control. I want to micromanage the heck out of this Yetzer Hara. That's what I want to do. How do I do it? I can't get control. To which the Gemara says a very simple recipe. Chesed and Torah. By the way, I also want to point out, if you notice, the order is very interesting over here. What's coming first? What's coming first? Chesed. Chesed. Chesed comes first. Because what Chesed does more than Torah is, what does Chesed do? Chesed humbles you. Because in order to be about Chesed, you have to be humble. Because think about this just a moment. Otherwise, if I'm not an arrogant person, an egocentric person, is not about chesed. For the simple reason is, why should I spend time focusing on you? I want to focus on me. Why should I give you my money? I made the money. Go out and get a job. Why should I give you my time? I have so little of it as it is. To be about chesed means you have to be humble. Humility is the midah prerequisite for all spiritual growth. So if I have chesed, which by definition engenders a sense of humility, then my Torah is so much more impactful. Put those two things together, Torah and chesed, and you have control over your Yetzer Hara. What's the last part of the pasuk? This is very beautiful. Li'olam yasim adam atzma divrei Torah kishar la'ol ukichamar l'masoi. So we'll say it's interesting. What do a shar and a chamar do? So ultimately, a shar and a chamar, an ox and a donkey are beasts of burden. So what happens when you go ahead and you put the burden on top of a donkey or on top of an ox? What happens? They carry it. So we'll say another tremendous yisod, which is what is the secret to spiritual success? You have to learn to be a beast of burden. There are responsibilities that are put on us. Chalish Baruch Hu put 613 responsibilities upon us, and those responsibilities represent the idea that Chalish Baruch Hu believes in our ability to carry the burden. Life is sometimes about being a beast of burden, taking the responsibilities that are on you, not complaining about it, not questioning it. It's actually the Shem Mishmuel. The Sakhachav Rebbe points out something very interesting. He says, when you put a burden on top of a donkey or an ox, they never say, well, let me ask you, do you think that this is really necessary? Right? This looks very heavy. Do you think that this is necessary? Right? After all, again, maybe this burden is important, maybe it's not important. I don't know if this burden is contemporarily relevant or not. Right? I don't know if this burden really applies here or not. What happens when you slap that burden on the donkey or on the ox? What do? They carry it with no questions. Part of the avoda of a yid, says the Shem Yishmuel, is to take your responsibilities and execute. Does Judaism have a place for questioning? Of course it does. Of course, we're learning Gemara, right? This is all about questioning. But sometimes success in life is also about becoming a beast of burden and taking the responsibilities that are upon you and faithfully carrying them, faithfully holding them, faithfully executing them. I was saying, to learn all of Shas for a Gemara like this is worth it. An entire 7.5-year cycle for one Gemara like this. The secret to life success: plant on the water, become a Baal Chesed, drink the water, learn Torah. Chesed and Torah, that is the powerful partnership, combined with blind allegiance. That's really what it is. You got to be an ox, you got to be a donkey. You can't question every single order. And sometimes when the master, when Avinu Malkeinu places the burden upon us, carry it. Just carry. There is a place for questioning, there's a place for understanding, but at the end of the day, just carry it and move it forward. Incorporate in your life those three things: chesed, Torah, obedience, and ultimately, again, will be successful. Incredible.